Let's start today by taking a look at the Indian stock market. And as I said, we do have two of the biggest voices in the Indian stock market to tell you what you should do. Should you be buying right now, selling right now? What should you do to take advantage of the stock market and the potential bull market that we could see there? But let me just start by giving you a little bit of a background to all of this. Look, ever since the COVID-19 pandemic broke out more than 3 years ago, the world has been caught in a spiral of unintended consequences. All sorts of external factors are playing themselves out. There was lockdown, of course, in a large part of the world, which froze economies, which then resulted in central banks injecting a large amount of liquidity into the system. That had its own effect. Then the Federal Reserve's early message of inflation being transitory turned out to be wrong. And the US now perhaps faces its most severe inflation in more than a decade. If all of this wasn't enough, highly volatile geopolitics have caused havoc on the supply side. It's been a year since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The war shows no signs of ending. And meanwhile, the issue of Taiwan and what's going to happen between Taiwan and China is once again becoming a problem area and a potential source of tension between the US and China. Now, here in India, it's not been an easy task for either the government or the Reserve Bank of India to balance the risks and yet continue to encourage growth. However, despite this, the recovery seems to have been fairly strong. The Indian economy, according to most estimates, poised to be the fastest growing economy in the world, certainly the fastest growing major economy. The risks to the economy at this particular point appear to be external rather than internal. So where does all of that leave the Indian stock markets? The last year has been quite volatile for the markets. Although there was heavy selling by foreign portfolio investors, it was offset by strong flows from domestic institutional investors and also, and this is an interesting change, also from Indian retail investors. In 2022, FII sold Indian shares worth $17.2 billion, the multi-year low for that. In March, FIIs, though, were net buyers of Indian shares worth $1.8 billion. So far, though, on average in 2023, they've also still been sellers. $2.2 billion or thereabouts are the latest figures. So they have been selling for a consistent period of time. Started buying in March, but we don't know where that's going. What's the road ahead? What's the outlook for the Indian markets? What should investors like you be doing? Well, who better to talk to than two of the biggest voices, two of the most respected voices in the Indian stock market.